And now, the Lafayette Food Junkie Show, served up medium rare every Sunday night.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. It's officially fall, which means that rosé season is gone forever. I drank my last bottle of rosé this weekend. I actually drank it while I was making my first batch of gumbo for the fall. Too bad this weather is stupid and it's 93 degrees outside and it feels like summer again. I really wish the weather would have been like it was a few weeks ago where it was like nice and cool and kind of felt like fall. But no, Tiffiany was making a gumbo. We got to make it 93 degrees outside. That's okay. It was still delicious. I'm going to be eating gumbo the rest of my life because there's no way to make a small pot of gumbo. Also, I noticed this when I was purchasing my ingredients for gumbo. So gumbo started out as something to kind of like get everything out of the refrigerator. And for a big group of people and to feed a lot of people, it's kind of expensive to make. I don't know if y'all have recently noticed that. Marie Ducote, Como, and Jay Steiner are joining us tonight as guest co-hosts. They're with Cajun Food Tours. Gumbo's expensive.
It can get there. It can get there.
But I guess if you think about how many servings that it makes, because there's no way to
like
make...
you said, you can keep eating it all week. And it gets better.
Yes, this is true. I'm going to have some tonight, and I know that it's going to be even more delicious. And then it freezes well, too. Yeah. That's the other good thing about it. So I was kind of like upset that I was spending, because it was almost $30. But
just for you?
Yeah, it was almost $30, and it's just me. So and a lot of times like I'll just give gumbo away or try to give it away. But I do admit that I put tasso in my gumbo,
right? Of course.
And then I have to use Rabideau's sausage. Yeah. That's the only sausage that goes.
It is a good sausage. I like it. It's not spicy, but I kind of like to spice my own gumbo, and I like the sausage not to. So I like a sausage that doesn't bring a lot of heat into it. So
what kind of sausage do you use?
I'm partial. They know it, and I tell them every time I go there. But the pork and garlic sausage from Johnson's Boucanier. That's what my favorite because it adds the
garlic would be really good.
Because throwing garlic in a gumbo, it doesn't get a chance to kind of melt away in there like if you make a ragu, like a tomato sauce. Mm-hmm. So it's just you got big chunks of garlic in your gumbo, and people think I'm weird for it. But they wonder where all the good flavor's coming from. It's from the garlic.
Sounds really good.
The pork and garlic sauce is a good way to sneak that garlic in there.
Another secret while you're at Johnson's, buy the smoked chicken broth that she sells and make your gumbo with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't have time to make your own stock. Like for me, if I'm making a gumbo for just me, it's, I'm keeping it simple. I'll make a little, I'll use the store-bought stock and add a little something turkey neck to it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong.
I do it too.
But when I have people coming over and I have to put on airs, I'm going to spend a day. I'm going to spend the day before making my stock. That's what I do.
Okay, this stock, I'm thinking would also be really good for ramen.
It could work, yeah.
For sure.
And they actually do a brisket stock that they make from the drippings from their smoker, and so that would do a really good tonkatsu style ramen. Like it would work.
I went to the farmers market, the Hub City farmers market a while back, and one of the farmers there, they sell bone broth, and I got the pork bone broth, and I'm saving it because I want to try to make it's not going to be a legit ramen, but it's going to be like a Tiffany's version of ramen at home. But yeah, that's just the smoked chicken and the brisket.
Yeah,
wow.
And you could even buy some of their, I'm sure you could buy some of the brisket that they have in the little vacuum pack frozen things and add that into there with some with noodles and stuff and some fresh veggies.
Okay, so next time I go to Johnson's, because I only get to go there for breakfast, it's a little treat. Sometimes before work, I'll get to go there. I'm going to have to check that out. I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely.
Okay, see, you guys need to listen to the show.
We learn all kind of good tips and
we got
tricks.
that tip right off the bat. So you don't know what else is going to happen on the rest of the show. We do want to mention that No Good Sons Barbecue set their opening date. They're going to be opening on Saturday, October 7th. They're going to be in the Broussard-Youngsville area, and super excited for that.
Down by Marie's house.
Yeah, Ronnie's been on the show a couple of times. I feel so bad because the last episode he came on it just so happened they had announced Toby Hooper died, and so I was kind of like tying in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre barbecue that they eat people with his barbecue, and he was just like, I repeat, we do not have human in our barbecue.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm sure he's really excited that you're repeating
There
it
you
now.
go. Yeah.
I know.
Are you turning the Ed Gain down on the mic?
Yeah,
No.
There will be no human. It is Halloween, but no,
Spooky.
It's delicious. Have y'all had his barbecue?
I have not.
Okay, because he's just been selling it out of his house, and it's.
Oh wait, I do know him. I did it. Oh yes, I have had it out of his house, and I went to his house to get it. Oh my gosh! So he's opening up a place in Youngsville.
Yeah, it's going to be across. It's on Albertson's Parkway extension. It's like across the little shopping center from where the Barrel is in Broussard. It was a little plate lunch spot, but that's where he's opening up. Yeah,
excellent.
Because he was so popular, he kept selling out of his stuff. Some of the best brisket I've had, and I'm excited because he's doing some different things. He was talking about he's going to be doing like these tacos, these special tacos, and yeah, he's a character, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to put out in his kitchen. But October 7th is their opening date.
October 7th.
Yeah.
Marking that down.
Also,
can never have enough barbecue.
We don't have enough barbecue. That's the problem.
We do. It's just the reason we don't have enough. I will say that, but we could always have more. But we have a good selection when we're on the food tours, and we go to have Johnson's, like we mentioned, or somewhere where we have barbecue. I always say that all the big places you hear about barbecue, you got in Carolinas and Texas and Kansas City and all the other places. They're known for barbecue because that's kind of all they have, whereas we have so much other stuff. Right. It gets put on the back burner. Right. So.
This is true. We can't have everything.
We do Yardbird better than anybody, though.
Yeah. All right. And then also want to give a shout out to Rusted Rooster. This past Friday happened to be one of those magical Fridays where I didn't have to go into work until 10 and it was payday. So I got to go treat myself to some breakfast at Rusted Rooster. Got a chicken biscuit. You get a chicken biscuit there, you're never going to want to eat one of them Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits ever again. It's pales in comparison. They are so delicious. Love their grits. And I actually posted on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page that it's almost a runner-up between Rusted Rooster and Taco Sisters for my favorite breakfast, although Johnson's is very high on there as well. So I kind of asked the followers what their favorite breakfast spot was, and they kind of overwhelmingly voted Edie's, which is also a great and inexpensive breakfast spot. What are y'all's favorite breakfast spots?
My current favorite, mostly because I can walk there, and it's and they've just, I guess, endorsed me as the patron saint of Boudin. But Acadian Super Red. That's where that's my vote.
I've been wanting to try their breakfast out too. They're that's on the list of places.
Now that's if I have a Saturday to go sit down. If I'm kind of in a hurry and moving and going to pick up some stuff to bring back, Cajun Market Donut. I really dig. I like the little Boudin bombs there and the kolaches and bread stuff with meat. Yes.
I like Tons in Broussard.
Yes.
Oh,
that's close to you. That's too far from me.
That's so far away
from me. Serious. I like omelets and stuff. They make a great omelet.
They make a good biscuit too.
They do.
There are their
pancakes. Oh man,
I've heard that they have good pancakes. I have not tried those.
Super Red has good pancakes.
See, this is the best.
You got to get the Steen syrup on
it. Ooh, wait! Did you just say Super Red has pancakes?
Yeah.
I feel like I want a pancake with Boudin on top and Steen syrup.
You could do that.
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
And their own homemade Boudin and sausage.
Yeah, I just created something that's going to happen when I go. We'll make it happen. Also, super exciting announcement. Lafayette is getting a bagel company. New York Bagel Company is going to be opening up in the shopping center where Cajun Table is located. We've lamented about our lack of bagels, and it's coming. And this is a company that's based out of Baton Rouge. There's 2 locations, I believe, in Baton Rouge. And they do bagels, sandwiches, salads, all kinds of stuff with bagels. So I'm kind of jazzed about that. Yeah. Are you bagel fans?
I am a big bagel fan, and you're right.
Well, I like a good schmear.
Noticed the
yeah.
Although not cream cheese. I like the when you get the salmon on there. That's good for me.
They have that there.
I like that.
I had this guy message me one time on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page, and he was moving here from Dallas, and he was like, I know they're not going to have a lot of the same restaurants. Just please tell me that I'm going to be able to get bagels and lox. And I was like, whoops, no. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, we do not have much in the form of bagels. And I said, the only place that you can probably get lox at is Whole Foods. So I was like, there's no restaurant. So I posted that on the page and it kind of blew up because there's so many people that have moved here from different areas.
And expect a good bagel.
Right. Melissa Lenner, who was on the show recently, we were talking about her opening a bagel place. She's with Let the Good Nosh Roll. And she made some bagels at home, like, because she, the same way with the lox, and she made her own lox at home because, she couldn't get it anywhere. So many people that have moved here from bagel-centric areas were super excited about that. So I'm looking forward to checking out a sandwich. Like, I really want, like, an everything bagel sandwich. That sounds delicious to me. All right, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we have more with Marie and Jay. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL.
The best tasting radio show in all of South Louisiana. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on Newstalk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-hosts is Marie Ducote and Jay Steiner with Cajun Food Tours. Really funny story. I was stuck in traffic on Wednesday, and I happened to be listening to Offsides with Brandon Como and Sean Wilkerson. It airs Monday through Friday from 4 to 6. And on Wednesday's episode, they were kind of talking about different places locally that you can kind of go to do different things that are maybe Cajun related, maybe not so Cajun related. And a caller called in and mentioned the Cajun Food Tours. And so since I was stuck in horrible traffic, I started texting Brandon, and I was like, hey, they're going to be the guest co-hosts on this week's episode. Like, plug it. So he plugged it. I told him about the international food tours that you guys were doing. So he kind of talked to his audience a little bit about what you guys are doing. You and I started around the same time. I started the food blog. What was it like? How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing this for 5.5 years.
Okay. So
and I started following you on Facebook and your blog right away.
Yeah. I feel like we started around the same time. So how did this idea come about? And tell us a little bit about the Cajun Food Tours.
Okay. Well, I was in education for 23 years, and I was a Louisiana and American history teacher. And I did that for 14 years, and then I went into administration, became an assistant principal. Kind of started losing my passion as an assistant principal. I always loved teaching. I loved that every year, every day that I did it. And towards the end after about 9 years of being an assistant principal, I always say 9 years is just way too long to be an assistant principal. After about 6 years, started really praying about what I was going to do next. And I was going around to conferences around the country for school. And anytime I would visit a new city or something, I would look around for something to do in that city, try to see that city, try to experience what you're supposed to experience in that city, whatnot. And I stumbled upon, purely by accident, in 2010, my very first food tour. And that was actually in Baltimore. And when I saw that, I was like, what? That's a brilliant way to get to see a city, see, not only get the history and see the city, but eat what the locals eat and experience their foodways. And, we always say that, Jay and I always say that no better way to get to know people than, at the table. Right. And so it was brilliant. And immediately I thought someone should do that in Lafayette. I kind of couldn't believe anybody wasn't doing it yet. As a matter of fact, I Googled it right then to see. And I said, God, I can't believe anyone's doing it. But it was a walking tour. And I realized, well, that's not why no one's doing it in Lafayette. Right. You can't walk around in Lafayette, Yeah. But there's few there's so few areas that you could walk around. So I took a couple more food tours, walking food tours that year. Ultimately, I took a bus food tour, and from the time I took that bus food tour, really that very night after I took that first bus food tour, I really had a cathartic experience. Like I had this overwhelming sensation, this overwhelming knowledge that I would start a food tour. And like I said, I had been praying for 3 years about what I was going to do. Knew I was needing to leave what I was doing. And, sorry.
Oop, that's okay. It's live radio.
So I knew I had this experience where I just kind of knew that I was going to be, doing this food tour, and it was. I tried really hard to get rid of that idea because I kind of had a list in my own mind of what I wanted to possibly do, and I can promise you that buy a bus was not on my list of things to do. So I tried to get rid of the idea, and this is what I love to tell locals is that. When I had the idea, I had been praying about my passion, about my lost passion, and what kept coming to me when I was trying to get rid of the idea was that I was overlooking one of my greatest passions, and that's this area, my home. And I've always been passionate about this area, not just the food, but the people and the past and the way the past is so relevant in everything we do and all that. And this is what I love to share with my locals. If I thought I was passionate about my home over 800 tours ago, I am tenfold more passionate about it now because, y'all, there's nothing like seeing your home through the eyes of people from literally all over the world to really make you appreciate what we have and how different it is, and it's just been a joy. I mean, like I said, over 900 tours, and it's a joy. And every time I do one, it's still fun. It's still a blast every time I do it.
So take us through a typical Cajun food tour. You normally have a pickup spot, and is it normally at a hotel or do you do different locations?
No, typically hotels. I have a few hotels that allow me to have my locals park there. So we pick people up from the hotels they're staying in, and then our locals just meet us at one of those hotels, and that all happens during the booking process online, whatever. So once we pick them up, we go on a 3.5 hour jaunt around. It's all in Lafayette Parish right now. But basically, we're doing kind of the history of the area, the groups that make up that make us so unique, what our culture is and whatnot. And, of course, the highlight is that we're stopping at 6 different places to eat something special from this area and something special from each of the places that we visit, maybe a specialty item that they do. And the whole thing takes about 3.5 hours, depending on the day and the traffic and the time and all that kind of stuff. But about 3.5 hours, and they're going to eat a good bit of food. I had just started the business, and we were at our 3rd spot, and someone comes on the bus and they plop down and they said, "I have a bone to pick with you." And I was like so worried, because it had been like 6 months. And I said, "What?" And they said, "You need to put on your website not to eat before you come and to wear stretchy pants." And so I did, so I put that on my website, and so I think the amount of food is pretty adequate for you. I always say I can't fill up a growing boy. I mean, I'm not going to fill up an 18-year-old boy, but everybody else, I think they leave pretty satisfied.
Well, I did have the tour, what was it, 2 Saturdays ago, where I had the tours back to back, and I did both of them. And on each tour, we had a extra little bit at every spot. So I had to do 2 tours back to back.
And you had to eat some, huh?
So I did the marathon.
Typically, we don't eat on the tour.
I did the marathon, and I was lucky I got the bus back to your house without falling asleep. So it was
Well, I did the international food tour, and we're going to talk about that one in the next segment. I was so full when I left. Like, I was stuffed, and I was like, this is so great. Like, it's really affordable. I don't have to drive, and I get to try all these different restaurants. Right. And you guys have a revolving list of restaurants, right? You don't.
Yes.
So if you go on one tour, you may not necessarily go to the same restaurant on the next tour.
Right. Actually, have about on the original Cajun Food Tour, we have about 30 restaurant partners right now, and they rotate. Most of those places are either on the 10 o'clock lunchtime tour or they're on the 2:30 afternoon tour. So a lot of people who want to do the tour over and over will do a lunch, the 10 o'clock tour, then they'll do the 2:30 tour or something. So they are guaranteed to get different spots,
And what is the prices for the Cajun Food Tours?
This fall, they're going up on October 1st for the fall to $59 a person. That does include all the food at all the places, and like I always say, all the fun, because it's a lot of fun. I mean, what people don't realize is the bus is like a party, but the bus is perimeter seating. That to me is what makes it really fun. There's so much interaction between our guests, not just between us and the guests.
That's
but the
one
guests
of. I mean, for me to say something is my favorite part, almost more than the food. That means a lot coming from me. But my favorite thing is when we have people. I mean, we can have people from who are both not from here, but maybe from nearby towns in Texas, and they didn't know each other. Or we have, like the tour last week, we had a little group of people, and then one guy from Belgium, and they all got to meet, and they had not really met anyone from outside the country more than once or twice. And it's really interesting. It's a way to, you end up learning a lot about other places too, not just Louisiana and the people where they're coming from.
Those are my favorite types of tours, when we have a few locals and people from all over the world.
And the tour became so popular that we want to say you brought Jay Steiner on, who also has an education background and history teacher, right?
Yep, absolutely. Graduated from UL 10 years ago. And I was teaching for about almost 4 years, decided to do a little early retirement, and I was doing that over in Baton Rouge and came back to Lafayette and started working at Vermilionville. Working there as a tour guide and blacksmith over there, and that was my first foray into working in tourism and working a few other jobs. And after about a year of that, and I realized, man, we could have a food tour in this town, and if I could maybe get a loan and get a little bus or do something, and then I no lie, about 2 weeks later, I see this little orange bus riding around, parking in front of the Hilton, now the DoubleTree, and I was like, someone beat me to it, and so I was just, I'm going to go home with my crushed dreams, and then it was I guess about
a year.
4 years later that you were looking for a tour guide to bring on with you and Ginger, and we. Marcus at Vermilionville, the restaurant manager over there. I've been working there for 6 years now. He told me that, hey, this tour, they're looking for a new guide, and sent me the information.
And they told me.
And they told you, and I think...
Because I asked at Vermilionville. I knew they had some great tour guides, and I said, y'all, I need somebody to...
I was just kind of hanging around.
All those little... I didn't need to tell you, all the little ladies in the gift store all together said, Jay, you need Jay.
I owe Miss Nancy a debt of gratitude. Nancy was the one who told Marcus, and Marcus told me. And so I think within 3 hours of you leaving with a group there and telling me we were on the phone talking to each other, setting up a meeting to talk about it. So.
Oh, yeah. All right.
And it's been, the rest is history. So jumped on board, pun intended. So.
All right. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we have more with Marie and Jay. And we're going to talk about the international food version of the Cajun Food Tours. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Results will vary. Do you owe the IRS more than $10,000 in personal or business taxes and you can't afford to pay? You have the right to fast IRS tax relief. Join satisfied clients like Victoria. She owed the IRS $32,000. They accepted $300. She saved $31,700. Leroy owed $21,000. The IRS accepted $500 and he saved $20,500. Get fast IRS tax relief and save too. Call 800-581-3990. Has the IRS threatened to shut down your business, freeze your bank accounts, take your home, your cars, or garnish your wages? You may qualify for special programs to stop this process. Get fast IRS tax relief. The industry experts with negotiating with the IRS with an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Call today and the IRS will be contacted the same day, putting a stop to bank levies and wage garnishments. Call the Fast IRS Tax Relief Hotline at 800-581-3990. 800-581-3990. That's 800-581-3990.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom, but a little over a year ago, we realized she couldn't take care of herself without our help. And well, how could I not be there for her? I had no idea how hard it would be and just what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and, even for me, ways to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics that got me started, but also information about the hurdles I was facing in this new role. I could even connect with experts and hear from others who had been in my place. I know this road we're on isn't an easy one, but I'm really happy to have the extra help for her and for me.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. This message is brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
From boudin to the best burgers Acadiana has to offer, it's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-host is Ducote and Jay Steiner with Cajun Food Tours. We've been talking about the popularity of the Cajun Food Tours, and now we're going to talk about the tour that I went on that had so much fun on. It's Around the World in Acadiana, and it's their international version of the Cajun Food Tours. When did this idea come about?
When I started the business five and a half years ago, immediately I noticed that almost half of my business, or about half of my business, was local. And I had the idea then that I should probably take all these locals who are coming to do this, take them a little bit out of their comfort zones as well. You know, it's one thing to introduce boudin to people from all over the world. Well, could I introduce something new to people who are from here? And so I had the idea. I even had that name, Around the World in Acadiana. Like I said, it's been 4 years. And I just stayed busy and things happened, and I just kept thinking one of these days. And I would go eat at these different places to be like research and development, we call it, you know. And I'd been doing that for a while, and it wasn't until I brought Jay on, actually, and Jay and I would do some research and development together. Yeah. And I don't know, the conversation kind of led to international food, and he said something about that, and I was like, well, surely I told you that, because I have this plan to do this around the world, food around the world in Acadiana. And so he's just a big cultural aficionado. I think he's as passionate about world cultures as I've always been about this local culture. And so he was just the perfect fit for this. So once he and I started talking about it, I was like, okay, we're making it happen now. We're making it happen this summer, you know. So that was in January, February. We started talking about it, making it happen for this summer, you know.
This tour is so much fun. I was so full when I left. I love international food, but I liked the idea of it because maybe you've been a little scared to try a different restaurant. You were kind of scared to go on your own, not really sure what to expect. This is like a tour that'll kind of teach you about the restaurant, teach you about the cuisine. You're in a group. Everybody's trying it together.
Right.
So I love that aspect of it. And I remember being so full. We went to our last stop. It was Athena's. Mm-hmm. And he kind of rolled out the red carpet.
Yes, he did.
Almost everything
item
that was on the menu, because he's such a nice guy anyway, and he was so nice and welcoming, and there was just so much hello.
It was a very be our guest moment.
Yeah,
you know?
Yes, it was. And I'm just like thinking, like, oh my God, I want to eat everything. And
Tiffany, that was our first night at Athena's. Wow. We had just added him on, and that was our first night there.
The big thing for me with wanting to do the international tour was, like you mentioned, it's a great place for folks who might not have ever tried Thai food or Vietnamese food or Venezuelan food, or don't really know what it is.
I am totally that person that you were talking about. Like the first time I had ever had Indian food, I'm not going unless someone who knows Indian food is coming with me, helping me order, telling me what
It's
I'm
a perfectly normal thing to feel. I think... and, you know, most of us don't think twice about boudin and crackling, but put a plate of boudin or crackling or alligator in front of someone from Minnesota or some far-off land from way up there, and they look a little scared,
it's like
too.
Putting pho in front of me.
Yeah. But for me, it was, you know, there's very few things that weird me out and that put me out of my comfort zone when it comes to food and everything. I'm big in the, watching bizarre foods. I like, trying to see where I would draw my line. And that's not to say any of the stuff on the tour is kind of weird. It's very, it's actually very approachable. And
one thing that I love about international cuisine, and that I've noticed along the years of eating it is how similar it is to the food we eat, and you can kind of see where our food came from. And that's something that you guys do on the tour too. I remember when Masala opened years ago, and talking about curry and kind of explaining it like it's like rice and gravy, to the point that like the people in the restaurant were pouring the curry on the rice because that's how we eat rice and gravy, and they're kind of like, nah, you don't have to really do that. And just like biryani is almost like a jambalaya.
Oh, don't get me started on rice. Marie will hit the cutoff button. But when we go to there you go. When we go to Bismillah, one of my favorite new restaurants in town, we sometimes have biryani there, and it's a rice dish. It's kind of like a pilaf, and you can kind of track the path of rice through growing civilizations all the way from East Asia through Middle East, Africa, into Europe, and then being brought here by the Spanish and making jambalaya, which was kind of a version of paella, and it's a wonderful little thing. And we're kind of unique in that because the rest of the United States, not a lot of rice going on.
Yeah.
And they come down here and they think, don't you have any potatoes or anything? But we just throw everything on rice, and it's kind of a little kindred spirit there. And I always love the connections between South Louisiana food and Latin American food. Both places, when people go to either Mexico or Venezuela or Cuba, they think, oh, the food's going to be spicy. Latin American food, the same way they come down here, they think it's going to be spicy. It's just flavored. Right. So that's what, and that's kind of, for locals, that's something they can understand, the misconceptions about food, and finding the commonalities between food, but also finding the differences and finding the little tiny things that, in Cuban food, they do black beans and rice, we do red beans and rice. Right. So essentially the same idea there, but we're working with two different starting points,
So this one is more for locals. Is it the same price as the...
It is.
It is.
As a matter of fact, the price on it did not go up.
Okay.
So it's still $55 a person.
Okay.
And it is offered on Wednesday and Thursday evenings. This was another thing different from our other tours. Because it's for locals, we wanted to give people something to do after work. I had been having people ask me if we could offer tours in the evenings. And so we did this one in the evening. So Wednesday and Thursday nights after work. They usually start around 6:15.
Yep, 6:15.
Which I loved because it worked around my schedule, so I got to do it. And then you also revolve those restaurants as well, so you may not necessarily be at the same restaurants every time.
We have 8 partners for the international tour right now. For the Cajun Food Tour, we have, like I said, over 30, but right now we have 8 different restaurants, and each one represents a different national cuisine, and we rotate 5 of those. We go to 5 instead of 6 for 2 reasons. One, we're trying to get you home by about 9:30, and 2, we eat more food at each place because we really want to give you an idea of a few things on that menu. So we're going to eat maybe 3-4 different things at each place, instead of just maybe 1 or 2 like on the Cajun.
And many of these countries that we're sampling, they have, just like the U.S., it's very regional. And one example, when we go to Piemonte, we have a little rice and ginger soup with shrimp in it, very, kind of coastal thing they have for breakfast there. We have the larb, the pork larb, which is very akin to a Laotian dish, so more in the mountainous region. And then you have the curry, which is more kind of in the kind of third section of the country, more the plains, and even down to the coast as well. So you have, you can kind of taste all the different parts of it, because even in those countries, you have maybe 2 different regional cuisines that are more different than they are from their neighbors. So even within that own country.
I think this is a great idea for a date night. You don't have to drive, and cocktails are offered with additional price. Yeah. We'll say that. For a group of friends to get together, this tour is so much fun. Like, I wish I could express to you guys how fun it was. Where can people go to sign up and get more information?
Our website has the answer to every question they could probably ask. It's CajunFoodTours.com. And, of course, they can always call us, and the phone number's on the website. But if they have any questions that aren't on there. But we would love for people to book online or by giving us a call.
And if you go to our Facebook page, you search Cajun Food Tours on Facebook, you can look in our photos, and we put up an album of every tour. So if you want to kind of,
get an idea,
sneak behind the curtain and just to,
see what it looks like.
Just to get a little peek at things, you can do that and look at through all. We have, what are we up to now? How many tours?
909.
So we're up there.
909 albums on Facebook, because we have an album for every tour.
Yep.
That's very cool. All right, we've been talking with Marie Ducote and Jay Steiner with Cajun Food Tours. We've been talking about the original Cajun Food Tour, and we've been talking about their new international version, Around the World at Acadiana. And we are going to take another break. When we come back, we have more with them. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
And now, we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and we've been talking with Marie Ducote Como and Jay Steiner with Cajun Food Tours. We were talking about the original tour, the Cajun Food Tours, and then we talked about their new tour, which is the international food version, Around the World and Acadiana. You guys can go check out their website at CajunFoodTours.com. Right. And you can get more information on that, get tickets, and get all that information from there. I do want to mention that next week's show is going to be a recorded episode from the Lafayette Farmers Market. I'm going to be in Birmingham seeing the Afghan wigs. So
nice.
You guys...
First band I ever saw live.
Really? There is a love affair with the Afghan. Like, I've had so many guests that come on and we just geek out about the Afghan wigs. It's probably the only band that we've really mentioned on the show.
It was an Aerosmith concert I was going to, but they opened up, so technically they were the first band I saw live.
I think that's hilarious that they opened up for Aerosmith. And I also picked to see them in Birmingham because the venue is across the street from my favorite pizza place in the entire world, Post Office Pies. They make the most delicious pies. And funny story is the last time I went there, because at night you can only order a whole pie. And I had went after a food conference, and it was like a group of us. And so I had ordered a pie, and I took it home, and then I drove home with it. And I brought it to work with me the next day to eat the rest of it because I was like obsessed with this pizza. Well, I go to lunch and somebody ate my freaking pizza. And when I tell you that I threw the biggest diva fit ever in that office.
Who does that? Who doesn't eat someone else's
to this
pizza?
Day, do not know who ate my pizza.
You have to go Ross. You read Ross on them like Dr. Geller.
Yeah, I threw the biggest diva fit ever because I was just like, you don't understand. I can't just go get this pizza. It's 8 hours away. Like, I only had 3 slices
does
of it.
That? Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
It was the most delicious pizza. I ate pizza so much on that trip, too, because I went to Bottega, and I remember posting a picture of it and saying that the pizza Bread and Circus was better, and then having a conversation with Manny, who's the owner of Bread and Circus, and he was like, "Thank you so much. Like, that's a big compliment. You know, that's that chef is an amazing chef." And then I went to Post Office Pies, and I was just like, "I just want to let you know that I love your pizza, but it's not better than this one." And he was like, "Fair enough. I think he was a little upset, but just being honest." So if you're ever in Birmingham, Post Office Pies. I'm also super excited because in the neighborhood that I'm staying at, there's a speakeasy that you have to, the entrance is through a phone booth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
cool.
it's like, it's attached to a hot dog stand place. And then there's this little blue phone booth, and you walk
like a
through
TARDIS.
it. And then it it's like 1920s.
Like Doctor Who's buying the shots tonight, y'all. No.
Yeah. It's like 1920s. The wallpaper is very risque. Like, I'm super excited about this trip. So next week's episode will be recorded for that reason. So do you guys do private tours, or it's like if they get a big enough group together, like will you do them that way, or how do the tours work?
Basically, if they have a group of, anybody can choose to have a private tour. It's basically you're booking out the bus, though, is what's happening. But it's our regular time. We're not real flexible on the time or anything, so they have to kind of pick one of the tours that we already do.
But I will say the evening tour that we do for the Around the World tour on Wednesdays and Thursdays, starting at 6, kind of going to 9. Ideal for Christmas party times coming up. Just saying.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just had a group book for a office Christmas party for a Wednesday or Thursday night.
Group
one
discounts,
of those.
do we not?
We do group discounts. We definitely have group discounts, and it also makes a great gift. I mean, you know that people that have everything. We sell gift certificates on our website if they go to our website, and that makes such a great gift certificate. And they can buy a gift certificate where people could use it for either the World or the Cajun Food Tour.
So you can purchase cocktails on the tour, but can you BYOB?
You can come on the bus with a covered drink. The rule on the bus is covered drinks only. No bartending on. It's all cloth.
Okay.
We got cushy cloth seats and carpet and everything.
Right.
So no bartending on the bus. But come on with your Yeti, with your cover on it, and buy a drink at the places we go. Bring it back on to-go cups. Bring them back on the bus. So there's always plenty of opportunity for that.
Oh yeah.
Mojitos at Cafe Havana.
There you go.
I think that was the one that I partook of on the tour because you can't not get a mojito there. And I will say that there is water that is offered, and you guys give wonderful little koozies, and you can put your name on the koozie, so no one's get mixed up.
It's Lafayette. It didn't happen unless you got a koozie.
Right.
So, how are you supposed to prove it?
Well, on last week's episode, I learned that an entire bottle of wine will fit in a 32-ounce Yeti. So,
wow.
And I don't know why I didn't know this beforehand, but my mind is blown, and I plan on doing so much with this information.
That's good to know, because people always ask me, can I bring wine? And I do say, well, if you put it in your Yeti,
There you go.
And now I know the whole bottle fits in the 32.
They can bring an entire bottle with them on the tour and have a grand old time. Excellent to know. So how difficult was it for you guys learning to drive the bus?
That was really fun for me. We purchased the bus about 5 months before I was going to do my first tour, so I could drive it everywhere. And that was my biggest fear. When I had this idea to do this, I think one of my biggest fears was, I don't know how to drive a bus. How am I going to drive a bus, And I'll tell you what, I was baptized in fire because my husband and I flew one way to St. Louis, Missouri to buy this bus.
And then y'all drove it back.
And then we drove it back. And he drove for the first several hours. And I had only test driven one bus one time for about 5 minutes. So I had 5 minutes of experience driving a bus, period. And then after he drives the first 4 or 5 hours, we stopped. I said, okay, I'm going to drive. We get on the interstate. We're going 65 miles an hour down the interstate. Within the first 20 minutes, I heard the most horrible crunching. It was like an explosion of some sort.
Oh my God.
I had just dumped a bunch of money right up front. I saw my life flash in front of my eyes, and I could see stuff flying out of my peripheral vision, and I couldn't hardly pull it over. I really believed the engine was falling out of this bus that I had just given this guy a check for, and it was all I could do to pull it over. When I pulled it over, my husband was standing over me behind me, and I was like, what was that? And he said it was a blowout. It was a blowout on my front driver's side tire, and the tire had shredded the fender, and that's what I was seeing flying out of the side. But at least it was just a blowout. But I pulled that, managed to pull in my first 20 minutes of ever driving a bus, blowout on the driver's side front tire. Yeah,
I should probably say we've since put on new tires on the. No.
Oh yes, all the tires have been changed.
For me, learning to drive the bus was fun because so Marie. You have the bus at your house, and it's out in Youngsville. I live downtown, so and I'm I don't go out there too much. So and having to learn to drive the bus on Bonan Road. Remember when you played Mario Kart and Rainbow Road, and if you fall off, you die?
That
was actually the very first.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
I baptized him with fire, too. I was like, the very first thing. I mean, he and I practiced together for a long time, but that was the very first road I took you on. It was it's nothing. And by now, to me, it was nothing, and I'm like, just keep it in the middle,
I'm just sitting there. I think the last time I drove like 10 and 2 was on a driver's test back in high school, but I was 10 and 2 on Bonan Road. So.
Speaking of Bonan Road, you guys for the international version, may want to add, they just opened a Jamaican place right there, and they do like Jamaican-style plate lunches.
I'm down with that.
And a Mexican grocery store just opened in that same little...
Where?
It's like right at Bonan and Ambassador.
Really?
Yeah. So something that y'all might want to think about.
It's where...
Sounds like research and development.
There you go. That's a good time. What was the place that used to be down?
It was a... Chinese Thai.
There was a place before it was named after somebody, and I really enjoyed that place, and it went away. Boons, that was so good.
And then it was Pad Thai.
And then
Boons
was good.
I'm blanking on the name, but I think it's the Jerk Stop is what it's called, something like that. I can look it up for you after the show, but they're doing Jamaican
I'm
style
thinking of way too many Steve Martin quotes right now. Sorry.
And then the other day when I passed, I saw that they opened a Mexican grocery store there too. So I don't think
in the same little strip thing.
The same little thing. But it might be cool to kind of.
That's totally that would be
just something. Something to think about.
Something to at least go check out.
So what has been the funniest thing that has happened on the tour?
Wow. People are funny.
Yeah.
There's always somebody. There are always funny things.
I had this was early on when I was doing it, and I've since learned to. I always describe crackling as, it's a whole variety of tastes and textures in one bite. But the way I eat crackling is I throw the whole thing in my mouth. I just one bite, boom.
I'm a layered type of person.
I had to. We had some visitors from foggy old London town, and they had just gotten married. They were on their little honeymoon going across the states, and I had to in the middle of a tour Google local orthodontist to help. This woman, she had braces. She had one of these little palette things. Yeah, it was the same thing I had. Like, it was a permanent retainer kind of thing when I was younger. Oh, I guess it wasn't permanent. I don't have it anymore. But anyway, she still had it. It was a permanent retainer, and she bit into some crackling, and now I make it clear to say, in addition to it's a little crunchy, a little crunchy. So there's a little crunch to some crackling, and but she watched me eat it and just went the whole one bite, and I was like, no, maybe you needed to take a little bite. So it was.
Do you eat yours in layers or all in one bite?
I eat mine in layers, and I had braces as an adult, and I totally broke my braces one time on crackling, and I remember going to get them fixed, and I'm like, I don't know what happened.
No, you cannot admit that to your orthodontist that you were eating crackling.
I was like, I don't know what happened, but I was like legit eating crackling and broke the wire and like 2 little brackets off of my tooth. Yeah. So I feel her pain on that.
Tell her there's something else funny. He told me something that he just did on this last tour, which you had your mic on.
I didn't know we were going to talk about. No. We had just the tire bumped up on a little something, and it gave me a little fright. And I said something that I can't say on the radio.
His go-to word.
I mean,
we're human. It's
yeah. I've done the exact same.
I was talking about a beverage that some people enjoy, some sugar honey iced tea, and I abbreviated it on the mic, and I didn't know my little mic was on, and.
He felt really bad when he got you might get some calls, or he's so worried.
Beet red.
And I was like, I've done that at least 3 times, and I'm always like, oh y'all, was my mic on?
Yeah.
And they were like,
so I had to play it off.
I'm like,
I was in the middle of talking about something.
Hopefully they won't write about it on TripAdvisor, Jay. 4 stars because
I guess I'm currently looking for a job. If anyone needs to hire it, no.
And if people are on Facebook and follow Acadiana Superette, there was this amazing photos of Jay that they photoshopped.
Yeah, I put it out there. My girlfriend Maggie took a picture of me with what Toby Rodriguez has deemed the Steiner special, which is a toddler's weight in boudin, I think. So it was about it was a lot of boudin. I think it was
like the patron saint of
and I had 2 boxes of them, and I'm holding them up, and I'm thinking I look like maybe like a old No Limit rap album, that kind of thing, and then someone did a very iconographic look of like a patron saint picture and put it on me. So they've been posting a few of them, reposting them on their thing. So
you'll have to go see them. You
have to go find them on there.
Hilarious.
So are they on? They're on your page.
Yeah, well,
and they're
on my page, but on Superette, I think
Superette.
They put on. And if you're friends with my mom, she reposted some. So.
All right, so we want to plug again. If people are interested in taking these tours, it's CajunFoodTours.com.
Absolutely.
You can go there, sign up, get more information. Thanks to you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Fun.
This was
fun. Flown by. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffiany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana.